6:15 in the morning, you wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, you feel it, that dull pressure behind your eyes, that tightness in your temples. You sit up slowly because you learn the hard way that moving too fast makes the room tilt. You reach for the blood pressure cuff on your nightstand, the same one you check every single morning now, and you wrap it around your arm and you wait. And there it is again, 148/92. Or maybe it's 155/96 today. You sigh. You've done everything the doctor said: less salt, more walking, the medication you take at exactly 8 a.m. And still, some mornings, that number just won't come down. Here's what almost nobody tells you. The first 5 minutes after you wake up matter more for your blood pressure than almost anything else you do all day. Your body goes through a hormonal surge the moment you open your eyes. Doctors call it the morning surge. And for people over 60, that surge can be brutal on your arteries. But there is a simple ritual, one that takes less time than brewing your coffee, that can work with your body instead of against it. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to do it, step by step, starting tomorrow morning. The real problem nobody explains. Most people think high blood pressure in the morning just means bad genetics or getting older. That's a myth. The real problem isn't that your heart suddenly got weaker overnight. The problem is something called the cortisol catecholamine surge, a natural spike of stress hormones that floods your bloodstream between 6 and 9 a.m. every single day, in every human being, young or old. Here's the part that changes everything. In a younger, more flexible cardiovascular system, that surge comes and goes smoothly. But after 60, your blood vessels often lose some of their elasticity. Think of a garden hose that used to be soft and pliable, now a little stiffer, a little less forgiving. When that hormone surge hits a stiffer vessel, blood pressure doesn't just rise a little. It can spike sharply, sometimes 20 to 30 points higher than your resting numbers just an hour before. That's why so many strokes and heart attacks happen not at night, and not during exercise, but in that narrow window right after waking up. The good news, you can retrain how your body handles that morning surge, not with a pill, not with hours at the gym, with a 5-minute sequence done the moment you wake up that calms the nervous system before it has a chance to spike. What you're about to learn. Today I'm going to walk you through the exact 5-step morning ritual, a sequence of breathing, gentle movement, and pressure point activation that helps flatten that dangerous morning surge before it starts. These aren't random tips pulled from the internet. Each step targets a specific mechanism in your nervous system or your blood vessels. Step 3 alone has been shown in small clinical trials to lower systolic pressure by double digits in a matter of minutes. And stay with me until the very end, because the 5th and final step is the one most doctors don't even know about. It comes from cardiac rehab units, and it takes only 90 seconds. Let's get started. Step 5, the 4-second wake-up breath. Before your feet touch the floor, before you reach for your phone, before anything, you're going to do this. It's a modified breathing pattern, and it works because of something called the vagus nerve, the nerve that runs from your brainstem down through your chest and acts like a brake pedal for your entire cardiovascular system. Stimulating it in the first minute of waking up can prevent that hormone surge from overshooting. Here's exactly how to do it. While still lying down, inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Hold that breath gently for a count of 4. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6, longer than the inhale. That's the key. Do this for 6 full breaths, roughly 1 minute total. A common mistake here is rushing the exhale. If your exhale is the same length as your inhale, you don't get the same braking effect on your nervous system. The exhale has to be longer. Let me tell you about Harold, a 67-year-old retired mail carrier from Ohio. Harold used to wake up already anxious because he knew what the cuff was going to say. He told me he'd sit on the edge of the bed some mornings just dreading the reading. When he started this breathing pattern before even sitting up, he noticed something within the first week. His morning readings, which used to run in the 150s, were drifting down into the low 140s. It's the first thing that's actually made a difference before I even get out of bed, he said. 3 weeks in, Harold's mornings stopped feeling like a countdown to bad news. Step 4, the seated ankle pump. Now you can sit up slowly, no sudden movements. Sit on the edge of the bed with your feet flat on the floor. This next step targets something most people never think about when it comes to blood pressure: your leg veins. Here's the mechanism. Overnight, blood can pool in your lower legs, especially if you're over 60 and your vein valves have weakened slightly with age. When you stand up too fast, your heart and brain suddenly have to fight harder to get blood circulating properly, which can trigger a compensatory spike in pressure. Gently pumping the ankles first tells your circulatory system we're about to move and gets the blood flowing before you're upright. Point your toes down, then flex them up toward your shins 20 times at a slow, steady pace. You should feel your calf muscles gently engaging with each pump. That's your body's second heart, the calf muscle pump, waking up and pushing blood back toward your core. If you're going to make a mistake here, it's doing this too fast. Slow and controlled is what activates the vein valves properly. Rushing through it barely engages the muscle at all. This is a great moment to pause the video for just a second. If this ritual is already making sense to you and you'd like more simple, doctor-informed routines like this one delivered every week, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now and give this video a thumbs up. It genuinely helps this information reach more people over 60 who are dealing with exactly what you're dealing with. Now let's keep going. We've got 3 more steps, and step 2 is one you're going to want to remember. Step 3, the standing wall lean. Now stand up slowly, using the bed or a nightstand for support if you need it. Walk to a nearby wall. This step is about something called baroreceptor sensitivity, tiny pressure sensors in your neck and chest arteries that tell your brain how hard your heart needs to work. As we age, these sensors can become a little sluggish, slower to respond to position changes. That sluggishness is part of why standing up too quickly can cause a lightheaded spike or dip in pressure. The wall lean helps recalibrate them gently. Stand facing the wall, place both palms flat against it at shoulder height, and lean your weight forward slightly, keeping your heels on the ground for a slow count of 10. Push gently back to standing. Repeat 3 times. A recent study out of a European cardiology research group found that older adults who performed a similar isometric wall press exercise for just a few minutes daily saw their resting systolic blood pressure drop by an average of 8 to 10 points over 8 weeks. Isometric holds, pressing against something that doesn't move, have some of the strongest research behind them for blood pressure specifically, more than most people realize. Common mistake to avoid: locking your elbows completely straight. Keep a very slight bend so you're engaging the muscle, not just resting your joint. Step 2, the ear point pressure hold. This one surprises people every time. Just below and slightly behind your earlobe, there's a cluster of nerve pathways connected to that same vagus nerve we talked about earlier. Gently massaging this point can trigger what's sometimes called the diving reflex, a natural, built-in response that slows the heart rate and can ease blood pressure within seconds. Here's how to do it. Using 2 fingers, find the soft area just behind your earlobe, where your jaw meets your skull. Apply gentle, steady pressure, not painful, just firm, and hold for 30 seconds on each side, breathing slowly the whole time. Let me tell you about Dorothy, a 71-year-old retired school secretary from Georgia. Dorothy had what her doctor called white coat hypertension that had started bleeding into her everyday mornings. The moment she thought about her numbers, she said she could feel her own pulse in her ears. She was embarrassed to tell her daughter how anxious the whole ritual of checking her pressure had become. When she added this pressure point hold to her mornings, she told me the strangest thing happened. I actually feel my shoulders drop when I do it, like something lets go. Her at-home readings, tracked over a month, showed a consistent 6 to 9 point drop on the days she remembered to do it consistently. Step 1, the 90-second cardiac rehab recovery position. Here it is, the one most people have never heard of, because it comes straight out of cardiac rehabilitation units, not your typical morning wellness routine. Lie back down or sit in a reclined chair if you have one nearby, and elevate your legs so they're resting slightly above heart level. A couple of pillows under your calves works perfectly. This position uses simple gravity to reduce the workload on your heart. When your legs are elevated even modestly, venous return improves, meaning blood flows back to your heart more efficiently, and your heart doesn't have to work as hard to maintain pressure throughout your system. Stay in this position for 90 seconds, breathing slowly through your nose. This is the perfect final step because it consolidates everything you just did, the breathing, the circulation, the nervous system calming, into one restful close before you start your day. Cardiac rehabilitation programs have used variations of this recovery position for decades to help patients transition safely from rest to activity without dangerous pressure spikes. It's not flashy, it's not going to trend on social media, but it works, and it takes less time than waiting for your coffee to brew. The bonus tip that multiplies your results. Before we wrap up, I promised you one bonus tip, and this one acts as a multiplier for everything you just learned. It's called light exposure timing. Within 10 minutes of finishing this ritual, get yourself near a window, or better yet, step outside for just 2 or 3 minutes if the weather allows. Morning natural light exposure helps regulate your body's cortisol rhythm for the entire day, which means tomorrow's morning surge may be gentler than today's. A study tracking older adults found that consistent morning light exposure was associated with more stable blood pressure patterns throughout the day, likely tied to better regulated circadian hormone release. The science behind what you just learned. I want to ground everything we covered today because I never want you to just take my word for it. Research published on morning blood pressure surges has consistently shown that the steepest cardiovascular risk of the entire day sits in that window right after waking. Isometric exercises, like the wall lean we covered, have been studied specifically for blood pressure and shown reductions in the range of 8 to 10 points systolic with regular practice. Vagal stimulation techniques, the breathing and the ear point pressure, are rooted in decades of research on the parasympathetic nervous system's role in heart rate and pressure regulation. And leg elevation's effect on venous return is basic, well-established cardiovascular physiology used in clinical settings every day. None of this replaces your medication or your doctor's guidance. Think of this ritual as working alongside what your doctor has already given you, helping your body respond to its own most dangerous 5 minutes of the day. My friends, before you go, we covered a lot today: 5 steps, 1 bonus tip, and real mechanisms behind every single one. The fact that you're still here at the end of this video tells me something about you. It tells me you're not looking for a miracle pill or an overnight fix. It tells me you're willing to give your body 5 quiet minutes so it can do what it was built to do. I know starting something new can feel like one more thing on an already full plate, so don't try to do all 5 steps perfectly tomorrow morning. Pick one. Maybe it's the breathing, maybe it's the leg elevation, just one. Your body doesn't need perfection, it needs consistency, and it needs you to show up for it, 5 minutes at a time. Thank you for trusting me with your time today. I hope tomorrow morning, when you sit up in bed, it feels just a little different. If this was helpful, hit the like button. It helps this reach someone else who dreads that morning reading just like you used to. Subscribe if you'd like more breakdowns like this every week. And drop a comment. Which of the 5 steps are you going to try first tomorrow morning? Share this with someone over 60 in your life, a parent, a sibling, a friend. It might just change how their mornings feel. I'll see you in the next video.